Welcome back again. You're still watching us here on the Daily Debate with this very special episode. Of course, once again, wishing all Muslims around the world a greater feast and the bigger bayram, of course, of Eid. Mr. Ahmed, thank you once again for coming in, tourism expert. Just before we got on the report, we were talking about the new mechanisms and strategies that have been applied in the field of tourism and how that has been very noticeable to every single citizen, if we want to be honest about that. We've had a number of events that are flowing in and out of Egypt, whether it's in sports or in conference tourism and international events. And the name of Egypt is just reviving over and over again worldwide. Can you talk to us about these new mechanisms?
Well, thank you for hosting me, and happy Eid to you and all the audience for the big Bayram and the feast of Virgin Mary all together. So we're witnessing already some of the events all together, you know, religious events all together that brings us all Egyptians together. So, well, as you said before the report, tourism is, I would say, or as so many said before, it's the train that is pushing the economy of Egypt. Almost every home in Egypt, they have someone who is either working in tourism directly or indirectly.
That's true.
Because as you might know...
or is benefiting from that.
Exactly, yes, exactly.
And the services of that field.
Exactly.
Yes.
As someone working in tourism, when tourism is good, I will spend. So I will benefit many people around me, starting from the grocery all the way to
Definitely.
Everybody, even buying a new car or anything. But what we witnessed during the past few years after 2011, sorry, that of course so many sectors got affected. We almost stopped
everything concerning this field, yes.
Almost the country was shut down, especially of course tourism. Nobody wants to come with all the unrest that we had. Although we had some tourism going around, but not as before, like in 2010, where we reached the peak of the Egyptian tourism. So, starting from 2016, I would have to say the ministry and the entire government started to work in something I would call crisis management. They work it well, they work it perfectly. That is the numbers talked about it later. So starting from 2015 or 2016, when things started to settle down, the numbers started to go up. So again, let's say in 2016 we had almost 5.5 million tourists. In 2017, they grow up to around 7 million.
Are you calculating just tourism in general or foreign tourism, or is it local and foreign tourism?
No.
When you speak of numbers, do you differentiate?
Incoming tourism.
Incoming. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about local or foreign?
No.
No.
Well, mostly they are foreigners. So they take out anybody that's coming from abroad with an Egyptian passport. So we're talking about any passport.
No, I mean local as in Egyptians moving around and around.
No, just incoming, so people coming from out of
foreign
Egypt.
currency you're talking about
exactly.
here.
Even if they from Arabic countries,
any foreign
African,
currency, yes, that's entering. Now, why I asked you about this is because even during the past couple of years, we have been witnessing locally, us as Egyptian citizens, we are being more enthusiastic, and we have the urge to actually go and explore new places and visit. Let's talk, for instance, and it just came up on top of my mind, Dahab. Dahab was just an island. Only foreign tourists would be interested. They know the importance of it, and they would just fly across the world to just come and spend time in the city that might not have much of a nightlife, like Sharm el-Sheikh, for instance. There's not much to do at night, but it's all purely 100% water activities. when I have been there last year, I've noticed like there's a lot of Egyptians, a lot of
Yes.
Egyptians people.
Yes.
When we were talking to tour guides over there and the safari riders and so forth, they would tell us that that is a new phenomenon. We have not witnessed during our, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years of experience in this island that we see that much of an increase of Egyptian tourists interested in such. So what happened to the Egyptian culture that they changed their mentalities of, let's not go to Paris this year, but let's go to the Red Sea, let's not go to but let's go visit Fayoum, for instance, and spend a couple of days. What has changed?
Well, two things.
Apart from the financial issue.
This is
no.
the first reason.
Local tourism is expensive. And
It
we
is.
have to put 100 lines under that.
But Dahab
if
is
I would
not
come
that-
from abroad on a package with 100 tourists, I'm going to pay much more less than if I have to go and book here as an Egyptian citizen.
Well, this is...
We pay a lot
Okay,
to go.
I will clear up this for you.
I just thought I'll clarify that before we...
Well, if you're coming from abroad, that means you're coming with a company. So the company is buying mass production. So they go to the hotel or to the cruise or to the aircraft, and they would say, okay, I will buy this aircraft or the hotel or the cruise for the next whole year. So they take
They don't buy the hotel. I thought they
huge-
buy rooms in the hotel.
They buy rooms. Exactly. They buy rooms, or they buy nights, or they buy seats. They don't buy the actual thing. So they get huge discounts on airplanes or on hotels, on accommodation, on everything. So that's why they can sell less to their clients, while you are, as Egyptian, you only buy one hotel room for what, 2 nights, 3 nights, 1 week even. So
Pay the earth.
exactly. So
But I
if
would
I'm
be
the
happy
hotel-
paying the earth. We
Exactly.
don't want to focus
So
on the,
if I'm the
money
hotel,
wise.
you are a client that's coming to buy 7 nights.
And why I'm saying that, which is a true fact, by the way, out of experience, that yet we would be very happy to do that, because it'd be interesting to go and discover places in our country that we don't know. I mean, and it would be so interesting when you see like international magazines saying that, let's say, Dahab is the #2 or the #1 tourist destination. You would want to say, wow, this is just like a couple of hours away. Why haven't I thought of going there?
Exactly.
This is a change of mentality and culture.
It is.
I want to know, because you're a tourism expert, who contributed in this change of structure of
Youth.
mentality?
You know, young people, they want adventures. They're enthusiastic. They're full of energy. They're full of power. They want something. They don't. Well, I remember 20 years ago when I was 25 or something. I used to do the same thing. I don't mind going to anywhere, sleeping on any bed, even if it's just a bed of rocks. As far as I'm happy, and I'm going out with my friends. We're dancing. So this is the youth. Still, somebody like me, I still love Dahab. I haven't been there for a while, but I would love to go there sometime. Besides, it's not that expensive.
Now, I don't want to make any kind of, I don't want to look like we're sponsoring that, but I mean, that just came on my mind because it is a city that there's not much for you to do except relaxing and water activities. So for youth as well, that's a bit odd, like, for families. I've seen families there with little
You've
children
seen families,
as well.
and nowadays they have different kinds of
I
products.
mean, even Sharm el-Sheikh, you had not witnessed so much number of families. Now we are in the summer season, there are summer holidays. When we have other holidays like small feasts, the small Eid or Sham el-Nisim, or even on Easter, you would always find these places fully booked by Egyptian citizens.
They want to change because they've been to the North Coast many times, so they want new destinations. And for some of the people, I would love to go to a hotel where I can stay and being served better than going to someone else and just rent a flat or something, and still will work and will clean and will have to cook and will have
We want to be served.
Exactly.
We want everything
because
to be
this
served.
is vacation.
This is a vacation.
This is vacation.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure every single woman would relate.
Exactly.
Every single wife and mother would relate to that.
And I hope one day I would see the North Coast like this, because our North Coast is the opposite, the coast of Italy and the coast of France, which they call the Côte d'Azur, the Blue Coast. If you go there anywhere, anytime, of the year. I've been to south of France in December, and it was fully booked, and it was crazy expensive. And I said, come on, what do you do guys in the summer? And they said, we're fully booked for the next 3-4 years during the summer.
That's interesting. Yes,
So,
that's true.
and we have the better sea, we have the better weather, but we just use it for 2 months.
We have to talk about that. We have to talk about that because we spoke about that
and that's
recently.
what I love exactly about the New Alamein
Yes,
City.
we will talk about New Alamein City, but we do have a phone call right now. Somebody also joining us, saying a tourism expert, Mr. Simon Saïr. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Daily Debate. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
We're talking about the boost in the tourism sector in Egypt that the country has been witnessing. Recently, we're talking about how this is maybe one of the industries in Egypt that almost every citizen can really feel has affected their lives. Even if you are an ordinary citizen walking down the street when there's an international event, or even if we're going to go a little bit back to where CAF was being held here in Egypt, and you would see people around you in malls, in restaurants, in cafes, that you're walking down the street and you'd feel like, oh, right, I think the tourism cycle is doing really well, and obviously that would pour into the economy of Egypt. What do you have to say about this?
Well, the country now is getting, let's say, in a big démarche in order to bring more tourists. The country is having the direction of transforming downtown to an area that will attract people to see our historical buildings. We are taking also more than one kind of tourism. Long time before, we are concentrating on what we call cultural tourism. And internationally, that represents only like 10 to 20% of the tourism, which means that Egypt were taking a small portion of what it was supposed to be taken. And from here, we see the big effort that has been created in Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada to bring another kind of tourist that is looking only for recreation and having 1 week sun and sea. Also, some activities around, like in the desert, and going to do some 4x4. The country is bringing now festivals, like the festival that we do at El Ismailia with the dancers, professional one, not Oriental dancers, but let's say folkloric one. We are bringing also companies to do their conferences and to make their union in order to achieve more steps in their work. A long time ago, we didn't have that kind of opportunities. But you can go now to Madinat Nasr and you can see halls that can take 1,000 and 2,000 persons to make those unions. The country is getting also to an Airbnb, which means that as a tourist or foreigner, you can rent a flat or you can rent a room in a flat. Long time ago, it was forbidden and not allowed. But today, the country is allowing that. We are bringing also new kinds of transportation. Before, tourists were having a big trouble to move without a decent way of transportation. Now it's available wherever you go, through hotel or through the street or through the apartment, or even when you want to move from one province to another one, we have many bus companies that can move you up. Egypt now is very safe. So they can walk during the night time, like places like Khalil Khalili, and you can see the Islamic side of the country. When you see those places from the 10th century and the 16th, when you visit the old houses like Bet Sahimi, like Gar Anderson, where you can see a lot from the inside, like the blue ceramic, like the furniture, like the different kind of rooms with the arabesque. The country has also transformed many of those rooms to house of music, like the one behind El Azhar, where it became the house of violin. And you can assist to great music, even so over there. Which means Egypt is going to multi-direction to to go to multiply the number of tourists, let's say from 10 million to achieve the European number, which is 80 million. And nowadays, when we talk about Sharm and Hurghada, that were 10 years ago 40,000 rooms per city, we have exceeded now the 80,000 room per city, and we have full occupancy in a place like Hurghada. Luxor and Aswan, that has started 20 years ago with 30 boats. Today we have almost achieved 500 boats. We have a big project for the city of Luxor in order that all boats will be outside of it, and it will be a walking area between Karnak and Luxor, 3 kilometers in between them, which means that you can spend many days between temples, shopping, the Corniche itself. We have a big project in order that you can have a free walk for the whole Corniche that is more than 3 kilometers without any obstacle. When you go to a city like Aswan, we have many natural reserves close to the old dam, and we have started in the Nubian area to make some small hotel in the desert where you can enjoy and meditate. You can also go to places like the Holy Family that has crossed by from Sharqiya until you come to Asyut, from Tel Basta until you go to Bir al-Maharra, passing by Cairo also. The Egyptian government has made many steps, and they were very successful in the last time, which mean more euros and dollars to the country, which mean more development and more people working in the sector, because we are looking to hire millions and billions from provinces like Minya that has a lake of, let's say, of opportunities, and those people are traveling to places where tourism is attracting them.
That's exactly. Thank you very much, Mr. Simon Saïr, tourism expert, for that very important and thorough explanation to where we stand exactly today in the tourism sector in Egypt. That was quite very intense, Mr. Ahmed Badr, bringing in all the way of how this industry has been influenced from the east to the west, to the north, to the south. I want to go back again to Al Alamein, because that was a very interesting point that we need to talk about. Being there very recently, the workers on the infrastructure part are working on 3 shifts, I believe, for them to be 24 hours building at night, and you can see the difference in the investment today in comparison to last year.
You can see the towers. Last year,
not
there
just
were
the towers, not just the towers. There's a hospital, there are services, there are motels and studios and universities. So they are preparing for a 12-month-long area to be, you know, alive, if I may say. Because if you go to in December and visit the North Coast, you'd be landing in a haunted planet.
Exactly.
So it's not the case, seems to be anymore. We're also talking about tourism and to attract tourism, not just if you're going to be studying in university or if you're opening a company and so forth, or even buying to rent a place or to own an apartment or flat in one of those expensive towers. But there's also going to be a huge entertainment amusement park like the Disney, for instance. So what is that going to make or mean to the face of this side of Egypt?
Well, this is what I call creating the needs. You have countries in the world that they have absolutely nothing. What they have, we have much more than, if we're talking about historical places or historic sightseeing. We have in one street, I would say Mu'izz Street, we have 10 times.
That's a beautiful place.
It is.
It is.
It is. And it's not having its like media.
We will talk about. We will definitely need to talk about that.
So there are some countries that they have nothing, and they created the needs. So people started to go and to see these new needs, to see, I would say, nothing. And they're very happy about seeing the nothing, and they go back very happy. Now the tourism industry in the whole world is changing a bit. People are not traveling for culture anymore, or it's not that big chunk of the tourism cake around the world anymore. Now people are more into adventures, more into nightlife and food. Food tourism is booming everywhere. People travel to
now people will want to come and try the Egyptian falafel the BBC was talking about a couple of weeks back.
Yeah. And hawashi, by the way.
Yes, hawashi, yes, that is something different you wouldn't see in other countries. And a very cheap price as well.
So it is a sector of tourism that is growing. So of course still people all around the world would love to come to Egypt and see the pyramids.
Thinking outside of the box, as I may say, and really cooperating with other entities, especially the medias, to be able to promote Egypt to that upper level by, you know, even if it's something very common between Egyptian citizens, how you would shed light on that and sort of spread the word or spread the image or spread the reputation to be able to reach the entire world and grab tourists is something we're going to be talking about right after the second report. Whether there increase in revenues or increase in production, there is a 100% guarantee that the tourism sector has been doing a very great job during the last couple of years, and particularly very noticeable and super active during the past couple of months. Let's take a look at this report.
Chinese cultural counselor to Egypt, Chi Wen, has said more Chinese tourists are expected to visit Egypt in the coming years as ties between the two countries continue to grow stronger. She said that nearly 500,000 Chinese tourists visited Egypt in 2018, compared with only 300,000 in 2017, which is a big leap, noting that he expects the number of Chinese visitors to exceed 500,000 in 2019. According to Chi, Egypt's continuing efforts to enhance stability and eliminate terrorism, especially at heritage sites, will encourage more Chinese to visit the country. One of the world's most ancient civilizations, Egypt, has been working hard to uncover and preserve its archaeological heritage across the country, while organizing conferences abroad to promote its ancient heritage. Describing Egypt as a very important tourism country, Chi encouraged the Egyptian government to provide more support for the tourism sector. He stressed that Chinese tourists adore Egyptian monuments, and Egyptian archaeological sites are well known to the Chinese, who have a similarly ancient civilization.
The city of 100 gates. Luxor. The city of ancient wonders. An open-air museum. The second most visited tourist city in Egypt. Luxor Temple, that witnessed the most important celebrations by the pharaohs. Here, where many of the kings of Egypt were crowned. Explore Luxor on Nile TV International.
Welcome back again. You're still watching us here on the Daily Debate. I'm very much delighted to have joining you Mr. Ahmed Badr, who's a tourism expert. Thank you very much for joining in. Before we went into the second report, we were about to talk about what other entities can help in promoting the tourism industry in Egypt. And before we indulge into that, there was a very interesting promo that was aired about Luxor, and I believe maybe in the break we were talking about a very important event upcoming in Luxor city. How do you see that coinciding with the fact that, well, if you know that you have an event coming up, not just you have to cover the event, but it's also a chance for you to cover the city that the event is being held, because definitely when people come, they would want to tour around, for instance. What kind of cooperation, what happens exactly on the ground between the tourism sector and other entities concerning these kind of events?
Well, this
and what is the event? Maybe we want to talk about.
Opera Ida in Luxor, end of October. To be held in front of Hatshepsut Temple. The place itself is
magical,
mind-blowing, magical, you name it. So with the decor and the Opera Ida itself and the music and everything, this is definitely going to be a mind-blowing event. They started with 2 days. I believe 26th and 28th of October. And already all the rooms of the city has been sold. 2 months ago, you still can have rooms. Today, it's sold out. And with a very high prices because, you know, it's supply and demand.
Yes, of course.
So
yes,
prices are going up, people are buying. So we're very happy about that. And of course, whoever comes, and most of them are coming from out of Egypt.
And most of them are VIP figures, if I
And some VIP,
yes.
yeah, extremely VIP figures from Thailand, from even some Arab countries.
Yes, the thing is that the Ministry of Tourism here, or everybody working within this field or industry, when such an event is being planned, it's time to really start working very hard, think innovative, out of the box. Okay, they're coming in and they're coming in to stay for 2-3 days. It's not just about the event. It's about everything that happens from the moment they land on the airport until they leave back home safe. So that would include food, beverages, shopping, sightseeing, activities, programs, and so forth. Who sort of tailors this program for these people, whoever they are, wherever they're coming from, whatever their importance in society is? What happens?
Well, of course, most of the guests are coming with, you know, through travel agencies that they are tailor-made their programs and
On what
itineraries.
basis do their agencies tailor-made? Don't they communicate with people here in Egypt, or
Of course
do they work on their own?
No. Of course they communicate. You know, if you have a foreign travel agency, they must work with an Egyptian travel agency. So together, here they tell them, okay, we can do this 1, 2, 3, 4. They send them suggestions for the clients to choose. What I need from the government, and I'm sure they will do a good job in that, is to facilitate everything for the guests coming, starting from the minute they land to the minute they take off. I mean,
services at the airport.
Services at the airport.
Transportation services.
Everything.
All that.
Even the city itself, how it looks. Because all these people, you know, it's not a cheap event. It's a very, to buy tickets, it's expensive. Even the cheapest one is not that cheap. So most of the people, or I would say all of them, they are with a high class.
And they appreciate
clients.
the event that they're coming to see, and maybe more over the place that the event is being held in.
And for me, these are the clients, and I'm looking for to go back and promote Egypt. You know, each client coming to Egypt is a promoter, I would say a promoter. Because in marketing, there is a very simple rule. A happy customer will bring 3 to 5 new customers. Unhappy customer will prevent 20 to 25.
Is that like an approximate figure, or is
it's
built upon
based
research?
on studies. It's based on studies.
Well, this is deep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So I want all of them to be happy. Go back and bring me another 3 to 5 customers. We want to put the best we have. I mean,
Yes.
the best cars, the best services.
Just a beautiful image. And we've seen that
Exactly.
successful in so many events, and especially in CAF, for instance, because that was just ended.
Exactly. The
Now-
last thing was
Yes,
African
how
populations.
can we also be able to indirectly promote Egypt touristically? I don't want to mention countries, but at some point in time, watching a translated or voice-overed series helped attract millions of people from around the world to a certain country. And I really don't want to mention the country because, you know, I just have issues with it. I'm sure everybody else here in Egypt does. So what I'm trying to say is that that helped. Interestingly, here in Egypt, that dilemma was proven, or phenomena was proven successful. A couple of years back, there was a TV drama that was aired in Ramadan at a famous, beautiful hotel in Aswan that a lot of people, especially those living in Egypt, did not know how beautiful it was.
Exactly.
Not geographically, its location and its beauty, and even on the city on its own. And even though it was a hotel, and even though it was a hotel that was part of a drama, a script, people fell in love with it, and it was fully booked for a very long time. Not only that, but also many weddings were held there.
Exactly, yes.
By celebrities and non-celebrities.
Exactly.
So that kind of phenomenon does work, and if it worked here, why can't we sort of export that kind of thing? Egyptian drama and cinema is very popular in the region and in the world. Why not promote tourism through drama? Has that been something that's coming up in your mind? I mean, you're not going to invent the wheel. It's already been there.
It's already been there in 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Everybody especially from the Arab region, they wanted to come to Egypt just because of the Egyptian drama. Whether it's movies, cinema, of course, and then starting from 60s and 70s, the TV series. So this is not something new. It just we've been a little away for a while. I have no idea why, starting from the 80s. We've been away, and recently, especially after, starting from maybe 2005 or something, started to have some movies that are giving a bad image about Egypt. You know, the poor neighborhood, which are, okay, they are there.
They exist, but that shouldn't be the message
Exactly,
if you want to go international.
Because all countries in the world, they have poor neighborhood, but they don't spotlight
Focus on
them.
that, yes.
If you think any place, you'll have the image of the sky high lines, the big towers, the statues, but at some point, when you think Egypt, you'd think poor neighborhood. They're there, they have all my respect, and they have very nice people there, but this is not the whole of Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, we want to talk about, from a tourism
Exactly.
perspective, this is not really serving the...
So this other country, they started to do this series with very nice...
natural sceneries
Exactly.
in terms of drama context.
Extravaganza.
Yes, yes.
So people, oh wow, this is really nice. I want to go there. Oh, it's nice, good-looking men, good-looking girls. Oh, their food look good. The streets looks very clean, and that's why, because they just spotlight and focus on their.
Why I asked you this, because this
I've
is
been
part
there
of...
and I've seen
Yes.
some really poor neighborhoods.
Yes.
Worse than
Yes,
what we have here.
yes,
But they don't even
mention it.
Exactly.
Definitely. But that's the thing, because this is part of promoting Egypt. I mean, now we are seeing that the media is even taking a different turn. The quality of the promotion, the promos, and the documentaries that are made about Egypt is very high quality. We're seeing a very good structured script, good best images being chosen, but not only that, because again the question, where are you going to air them? How will people be able to see them? You will not want to air them on local television, for instance.
No.
But there's on YouTube, and there are the facts of before you listen to a song or watch a series or a movie, there'll be a couple of seconds promotion about Egypt or Mohammed Salah, which represents Egypt again, and that is again thinking out of the box. I don't know if you've noticed or not, or if this is a new strategy or not, but almost every single video I open now on YouTube must have some kind of promotion about Egypt, even if it's not even Egyptian. I mean, the video is not even Egyptian.
Well, this is the future. Now, the future is for the YouTubers, as they call them, the the famous people on Facebook and Instagram, all the social media stars, which they call influencers. So this is the future. And during the past 2 years, we had so many of these influencers and YouTubers and social media stars coming to Egypt, and they've done some wonderful images and amazing videos. Some of them I'll be glad to send them over to you to see. You really feel wow. And these are just a job of one person, not a crew, not professional. But it's totally amazing. You know, this is what people are.
Social media is playing a very important role now.
Exactly.
The hashtags and the
As I
tweets and
told
so
you,
forth.
I want everybody coming to Egypt to just to post a nice picture for him in Egypt, happy. This will encourage his friends.
But
come back.
if you're talking about ordinary level of people, visitors, but we're talking about recent years, we're seeing Hollywood stars and international artists and singers coming to Egypt. Yanni just had, I don't know if he's having or he's had in Alexandria. He came back again. This is his second time, but he's going to. He went to Alexandria this time. But what I'm trying to say is that he loved the place. He promised to come back, and he did. And as you said, tickets are not quite cheap, but people are, and that's the thing.
Also, we had, excuse me for interruption, Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, she's coming in next weekend, I think. Yes. So that's the thing. You're seeing names that unlikely would you ever imagine that they would consider Egypt as a destination for a tour, even if it's a destination for a visit. It's a destination now for, Ramos, let's say, came in, and that was very brave of him to come to Egypt, but he did, right? With all the feedback he got after what he did to Salah, he did want to come back, and I believe he realized why Egyptians are different, why Mohammed Salah. So what I'm trying to say is that they come on a tour, they include Egypt as part of their international tours, and imagine how one artist of those have millions of followers around the globe, and it's crazy, but some people actually almost worship their idols or their singers. They'll follow them wherever they go. So again, what happened for this shift? I mean, how do you persuade international artists or Hollywood stars to come to Egypt? And
well, for them, of course, number one is safety. Definitely. So before any one of them comes, they must have
safety protocol.
Yeah. Even they send some safety professional people coming that we don't know about. They come as normal tourists, and they come and they go around, and then they send back, okay, it's safe or it's not safe. They do that. They do that. So when they came and they saw everything and they seen everything is.
J-Lo's concert, by the way, it's not a secret. It's at the North Coast. It's just completely nothing wrong with the North Coast.
Well, I'm happy about that. North Coast, yes.
And that's another destination that was different. It's not in Cairo or in a five-star hotel or even at the pyramids. It's a new area. Exactly.
We want to go out of Cairo. We want to promote.
And it's not the first time we witnessed such events. I mean, last year they've had a couple of events as well, and tours happening.
Even events like that, concerts, it's becoming part of the tourism.
And it doesn't say North Coast, by the way, it says Alamein, so now the name would ring internationally.
Yes, exactly.
That's
you have a country like Holland, part of their major incoming for tourism are concerts for DJs, for bands, for singers. It's part of their incoming. So
they have
why
happy
not?
citizens, I believe, who like to party a lot.
Exactly. And people fly from all over the world to.
And that is another thing, because up until a couple of years back, nobody would be very much interested to go to such concerts. Or maybe if you're targeting younger generations, parents say, no way, you're too young, this is too unsafe as well, this is too not our culture, not our style, no, I'm not paying you this for. But now we see parents even super excited going along with it. And so we've been also seeing a change of culture. I believe the globalization process and very much being attached to the internet and global media makes you actually be very inspired and overexcited to know that, well, I don't have to go to you anymore to see you all
because even in Egypt you have this kind of people that they were traveling to go to such concerts. So now it's coming to their doorstep. So, okay, why don't we go anyway? Because Anyway, North Coast is, people
Yes,
go there,
exactly.
and we're
Where-
having this long weekend.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
Why not? Right? It's the
Exactly.
middle of
So we're here
summer.
anyway.
Yeah. What is coming up ahead? Where do you see Egyptian tourism industry, if it, in its continuation of booming or blossoming in the upcoming years? If we're talking about as far as 2020 target, what's coming up?
Well, it's growing, and we need to prepare for this growth. We need to have more.
Who's we? You as the tourism industry, people who work
Everybody.
in the tourism.
I mean, we as
citizens?
tourism industry, as government, as even ordinary people. People need to understand the importance of tourism. We need to spread tourism awareness among the people. 2 or 3 days ago, I read a very important article and headline, and it was the news. The Minister of Tourism, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat, met with the Minister of Education, Dr. Tariq Shawqi, and they were talking about
integrating the importance
Exactly.
of tourism and education. That is a very important step.
It is, because
I mean, it was always there, but it stopped as far as the permits and the pharaohs goes, and
Well,
then after that, nothing happened.
I need the ordinary people just to understand how to how to interact with the
And how your image is always
exactly.
important.
It just
because you represent your country at the end of the day.
treat the tourist as he is your guest. This is it.
But
It's very easy.
Egyptians, to be very honest and frank again, and this is just like by
It's
nature,
in our
naturally
genes.
genes.
Exactly.
Yes, that
But
they're
sometimes-
very hospitable, they're very friendly, they have an extreme sense of humor, regardless of. We manage to turn any
But sometimes it's
any
a bit-
sad, dramatic event
Exactly.
into hilarity. So yes,
But sometimes it's a bit too much, even for the tourists. They
it's
don't
just that the
understand.
nagging. You mean the nagging? You don't want to be nagged. I mean, if you want to sell off something, do it nicely and neatly. I mean, and this is
All
another
we need
thing.
is fine tuning in
Yes, and that's the
some
thing. I
areas.
mean,
That's
maybe
it.
no. To be honest, you do see that now, but at a very smaller scale. Abroad, and I've traveled, and I'm sure you've traveled a lot, and you are aware that even, and I'm really sorry to say, for those who are in need in the street, I don't like to address them as beggars. They don't force themselves on people. They
Exactly.
always have something extraordinary to present for them. Play music or flute or some kind of show or magic show or whatever. They're very extraordinary kind of thing that attracts people to you, get a crowd around you. Now they'll be using your... I mean, I've seen that in North Coast. Somebody just playing on a violin, and it's not even part of a show of sitting somewhere. He was just on the side, and he attracted so many people. Not necessarily did they give him money, because
No.
he doesn't look like a beggar, but... they used at least their phone and they shared it. So look what's happening. And his music was beautiful. So this is, again, means of you see that on undergrounds in other countries. People would be doing things to attract you, to distract you, to sort of help them economically, but without that direct of, give me money, or please, or I beg you, or I don't have food, and that sort of thing.
The most famous street in Barcelona in Spain,
That's
called
true.
Ramla. It's famous for this. You go there and it's all full of these
That's
artists.
true. That's true. I've
that
been
they're
there.
standing,
Yes.
they're playing, they're drawing, they're
There's
doing
so
anything.
many, and it doesn't sound noisy because the place is so squared out and big.
Exactly. It
Yes.
just everything is in order. So we need everything to be in order. We need some fine tuning in everything. Again, starting from the minute the tourists arrive to the country to the minute they leave. I mean, starting from...
I think that would definitely change the face of how things would be
Exactly.
if
So
you do
even,
it from this
starting
perspective.
from just having order for the taxi driver at the airport. That's it. It's everywhere.
But that is very promising, and
Yeah.
as
It's becoming,
citizens
and
living
it's,
here,
yeah.
you can notice it. You cannot deny that.
course, yes.
Everywhere in Egypt, not just in Cairo. Our time is unfortunately up. The episode went so fast. Mr. Ahmed Badr, tourism expert, thank you very much for coming in. Happy feast.
Same to you and to all the audience.
Definitely, thank you very much. That brings us to the end of this episode of the Daily Debate. Once again, I'd like to wish all Muslims around the world a very happy Greater Baram feast, and happy holidays, and see you back next week.